If you're preparing for the BCBA exam and you want the clearest, fastest way to understand what the test really expects from you, you're in the right place. Continuous measurement is one of the highest yield topics on the exam, and mastering it can instantly boost your confidence and accuracy. In this video, we'll break down rate, frequency, duration, IRT, trials to criterion, and percent of occurrence with clean definitions and exam-style thinking. And if you want full mock exams, explanations, walkthroughs, and step-by-step explanations created specifically for 6th edition prep, all of that is available at bcbmockexam.com. Study smarter, not harder. Let's start with why continuous measurement is such a big deal for the BCBA exam. This topic appears repeatedly in multiple formats: direct definition questions, scenario-based questions, and simple calculation items. The exam wants to see whether you can precisely differentiate terms like rate versus frequency and duration versus IRT. It also wants to know whether you can analyze a situation and choose the best measurement procedure. Common mistakes include mixing up frequency and rate, confusing IRT with latency, and misinterpreting percent of occurrence. Today, the goal is not just to memorize definitions, but to train your eye to instantly recognize what each question is really asking on test day. Continuous measurement means recording every instance of the target behavior during the observation period. With this method, you can answer questions such as how many times it occurred, how long it lasted, and how often per minute it occurred. This differs from discontinuous measurement, which samples behavior at intervals, such as partial interval, whole interval, or momentary time sampling. On the exam, remember, continuous measurement captures all instances of behavior, while discontinuous measurement only checks at specific moments. Continuous measurement provides the richest and most complete data. For BCBA exam prep, you should clearly recognize the 6 major forms of continuous measurement: frequency, the count; rate, count per unit of time; duration, how long the behavior lasts; IRT, time between responses; trials to criterion, how many trials until mastery; and percent of occurrence, proportion of correct or target responses. These 6 measures form the foundation of measurement questions on the exam, and most scenarios can be quickly matched to one of these 6 if you know what question each measure answers. Frequency is the number of times a behavior occurs. It answers how many times did it happen. Frequency is used when the behavior has a clear beginning and end, and when the session length is consistent. Examples include how many times a student hits, raises their hand, or vocalizes. On the exam, if a question gives a simple count with no per minute or per hour wording in the expression of the data, that is frequency. Rate is frequency divided by time. It expresses behavior in a standardized way so you can compare across sessions with different lengths. For example, 10 responses in 5 minutes equals 2 responses per minute. Use rate when measuring behaviors across varying observation periods or contexts. Examples include aggressive responses per hour or mans per minute. If a scenario includes per minute, per hour, or any time-based unit in the measurement itself, it is rate. Frequency is count. Rate is count per time. He hit 12 times today is frequency, even if time is mentioned, because the measurement is still a raw count. He hit 12 times per hour is rate because the time unit is part of the measure. The exam often adds distractor time information, so focus on whether the expression of the data includes a time unit. Frequency equals count only. Rate equals count divided by time. Duration tells you how long the behavior lasted. You can measure total duration or the duration of each occurrence. Use duration when the length of the behavior is the meaningful variable. Examples include total time on task or length of tantrum episodes. On the exam, any scenario providing start and end times or asking how long points directly to duration. IRT measures the time between the end of one response and the start of the next. It is used when the spacing between behaviors matters, such as in DRL or DRH programs. Examples include minutes between cigarettes or seconds between bites. IRT differs from latency. IRT is time between responses. Latency is time from the SD to the first response. Time between responses equals IRT. Time from instruction to first response equals latency. Trials to criterion tells you how many opportunities a learner needs before meeting a predetermined mastery standard. This measure focuses on acquisition and mastery, not ongoing performance. Examples include the number of trials needed to identify colors at 90% accuracy or the number of attempts required to tie shoes independently 3 times in a row. Any wording like, "how many trials to reach mastery," points to trials to criterion. Percent of occurrence is calculated by dividing the number of correct or target responses by total opportunities and multiplying by 100. It's common in discrete trial teaching or compliance measurement. Examples include 18 correct out of 20 trials, 90%, or following 8 of 10 instructions, 80% compliance. Any X out of Y, or percentage format, is almost always percent of occurrence. Here is the quick summary. Frequency answers, how many times? Rate answers, how many per unit time? Duration answers, how long did it last? IRT answers, time between responses. Trials to criterion answers, how many trials until mastery? Percent of occurrence answers, what percent of opportunities included the behavior? When practicing, train yourself to identify which of these 6 questions the scenario is truly asking. Scenario 1. A child complied with 9 of 10 cleanup instructions. Scenario 2. A tantrum lasted from 2:05 p.m. to 2:20 p.m. Scenario 3. A learner made 12 independent requests in a 30-minute session. Scenario 4. There were 5 minutes between self-injurious behaviors. Scenario 5. It took 40 teaching trials to reach 90% accuracy naming family members. Scenario 6. A student raised his hand 15 times during math class. Identify the measure for each before moving on. Scenario 1 is percent of occurrence because it shows a proportion, 9 of 10. Scenario 2 is duration because it provides start and end times. Scenario 3 is rate because it contains both count and time. Scenario 4 is IRT because it measures time between responses. Scenario 5 is trials to criterion because it asks how many trials were needed to reach mastery. Scenario 6 is frequency because it is a simple raw count. 4 major traps. Frequency versus rate. Frequency is count. Rate is count per time. IRT versus latency. IRT is time between responses. Latency is time from SD to first response. Percent versus frequency. 18 of 20 can be represented as a percentage or a count. Trials to criterion versus percent. One measures mastery trials while the other measures proportion. Always circle phrases like per minute, between responses, out of, or until reaching 90%, and identify what the question is actually measuring. Here's the mental shortcut. How many times equals frequency. How many per minute equals rate. How long did it last equals duration. Time between responses equals IRT. How many trials until mastery equals trials to criterion. X out of Y, or any percentage equals percent of occurrence. Practicing this flow makes measurement questions faster and easier on exam day. If you want to walk into the BCBA exam with real confidence instead of uncertainty, consistent practice with high-quality materials is essential. Measurement is only one part of the exam, and to truly prepare you'll need full mock exams, clear rationales, video explanations, and realistic question styles. Everything you need, mock exams, flashcards, topic lessons, and guided walkthroughs, is available at bcbmockexam.com. If this video helped your studying, subscribe and share it with another future BCBA who wants to study smarter, not harder. I'll see you in the next lesson. If you want to keep mastering tough BCBA concepts like this, visit bcbmockexam.com for realistic mock exams, flashcards, and analytics. Study smarter, not harder.